Hey everybody, Devin here with WagonWell.com, and today I really wanted to share three things that's been on my mind lately that I hope will help you, somebody along the way of their journey as an entrepreneur. So, first thing is something a little bit more about my past and how it's actually fueling and driving me towards my future, as well as something about what I'm calling positive negativity and how to respond better to it. And then the third thing is about the team, having your team work to make your dream work. So basically, the first thing, a little bit about my past. So um, I haven't really talked much about my past with anybody in my life too much. Sometimes it comes out here and there, but basically, watching other people, their story and what's driving them actually is, kind of the reason why I realized that, I should be sharing a little bit more about my story. So basically, I grew up actually, so from a very young age, I was actually adopted about 4 years old, and for about 7 or 8 years since after that, I basically, was adopted by a very abusive stepfather, and it was very hard on my mother as well, and it definitely had some profound effects. I didn't even realize that actually, if you go through some traumatic abuse or just anything traumatic experiences in your life at an early age, from 1 to 6 years old, it can definitely have some effects, including that of some learning abilities. It can affect how you learn, which I never thought this was a problem of mine because I actually never had a problem with learning. I thought I was always really quick and fast. Definitely one of the brightest in the group usually. So I never really had a problem. I never thought I had a problem with a learning disability or a learning ability impairment. And until I started hearing about other people's story, and hearing how, not just that, but hearing scientific proof, scientific evidence about, from being in your first not, I can't say prenatal, but the very first years of your life on the developmental stages, the first 6 years, if you do go through some abuse like that, it can actually affect how you learn. You can be dyslexic. You could be socially, uh, disabled, I guess you can say. I'm not sure how to really talk about it, but basically, being aware that these things, have an effect on us. Um, but even more so, like, not just knowing that it actually has an effect on me with like socially and how I may interact with the world, but also about this is part of the reason of why I'm doing everything. I feel like my mother, I've always wanted. The reason why I wanted to be financially free was to always be take care of my family, my mother and my sister. Um, and I feel like my mother might not have been in that situation if she knew a better way to, take care of herself and her children. And really thinking about it, like, I know I'm not. I grew up thinking and brushing it all off like it was very normal. And I just know that there is probably a lot of families that are affected by this, that's weighing them down, and they could definitely use some help on to actually, get through the internal hurdles and focus on things that they do want, because it can be definitely hard when you have this internal story affecting you, um, especially from a abusive standpoint. So just wanted to mention that, and that's definitely the reason why I'm doing things that I want to do. I don't want to just take care of just me and my family and my mother and my sister, and make sure that we're living the best lives that we can. But this is something that of course everyone would love to help as many people as they can if they knew how to, and that's kind of the reason why I'm doing this, because I would love to really be in a position to teach people and actually help people get to their next steps in life, just like I am trying to do. So, they always say once you get, a little bit forward, you want to reach back and pull some people forward as well. So that's just something that I wanted to mention. So the second thing about positive negativity and how to respond well to it. How I look at it is, is family. family and friends, this has been my support network. This has been my inner circle my whole life. And if I ever had any issue, this is who I reach out to. So, because I know they're always going to come from a place of love and support, but they may not actually know how to get where I need to go. So you should keep that in mind. And when you're bringing these issues up, you might, or you might not even bring these issues up. You might just be acting and executing fully on your idea, and then some people, in your life are sitting here saying, "What are you doing?" They might be causing doubt. They might really, come from a negative place, and from your point of view, and that's what I just want you to know is that these guys they don't know better. From their point of view, they're coming at a realistic approach to help you. You know what I mean? That's all they want from you too. So be aware, of your responses to these things. Just because it's not in the right direction, that's part of a CEO's job, is to say no to the right things. You know what I mean? You can't just say yes to the right things to everything. You got to be able to say yes and no to the things of where you're going. You can't have any distractions. And if you do, you will learn it if you want them or not. Some people may want distractions in their life, maybe certain kinds. But anyway, so basically, that's all I really wanted to talk about with that, is actually being proactive and realizing, that when someone is giving you some bad advice and you don't need, don't take it personal, don't get your emotions involved, and definitely overcome that negativity by knowing that they're coming from the best place, and that you might not be able to bring those things up with them, right now. So, especially if they're not understanding where you're coming from. So just keep that in mind. They're not coming from a bad point or a bad place, and it's really your point of view that's really holding you back with that relationship. You don't need to even speak about these things with this person, and you can still have a good relationship with this person that you love and care about. And that's all it's about. And you actually speaking these things will actually maybe even make a more firm believer out of them with you, whatever direction you're taking, and they could be one of your biggest supporters later down the line. So, something to keep in mind: don't burn your bridges when it comes to family and relationships. They say burn your bridges, so that way you have no other choice but to get to your destination. But yeah, keep it civil with everybody around you, even if they may be bringing you down in some kind of way. So the last thing I wanted to speak to you guys about is about building the team to make the dream work. So I've been doing this quite a long time, networking. I've been a business owner a small business owner most of my life, fresh in college. So I've always been networking, and I know how important it is, and I'm just seeing the more important it is getting more people in your network that have had some successes. The way other people mention it, James Altucher speaks of it this way, is pluses equals and minuses. So basically, you should have some pluses in your circle that actually you look up to for mentor guidance, and people that you can respect, and that they can know what they're talking about, and you can actually trust in their advice. You can learn from them. And then your equals are the people that you can share that advice with, and you can see what they're working on. They're your colleagues. They're not someone you can actually necessarily teach. You kind of are at the same level, even though you may know some things. You can help them with a little bit here and there, because you're learning things that they're not, and they're learning things that you're not. But they're kind of like in the same, part of the journey. You need to have a certain respect at each of these different levels. And then the minus is definitely reaching out to someone who needs help, reaching back and pulling them up, and actually helping give to them some feedback, some not just feedback, but some valuable information that they can take and use to get to the next step. So I've been having these things in place, and the more I keep growing it, the more I have people that I hear their stories, I see what they're doing, I see their value that they're giving, and it's really inspiring. And this is why you should be doing the same. So get some good people in your network that you just love their message and their story, their why, their reason for doing everything. And get these people in your network, talk to these people, ask them questions, uh, and go put in some work with them. So, yeah, you guys have a rest of a good Saturday, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.